So, never have the parallels been closer than today between a group of citizens such as yourselves assembling peacefully but with vigor and determination to protest the growing lawlessness and tyranny on the part of those who govern us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say some things today that you wouldn't expect to hear from a former United States Senator. But these are dark times. These are dangerous times. These are, as was said 250 years ago, the times that try men's souls. We're being tried, and we're going to triumph in the end. So I want to begin by congratulating each one of you and thanking each one of you for the part you've played in this Tea Party revolution, if you will, in this Tea Party movement, which a year ago was virtually unknown, and 6 months ago was laughed at. But today the major parties either fear you or they want to incorporate you, and I'll leave it up to you. You know which party fears you, and you can draw whatever lessons you want from that. Conclusions, and you know which party would like to include you, and you can draw lessons from that as well. But what tremendous credit we owe you, because without what you've done these last 6 months in particular, a time when you were ridiculed and downplayed, and your patriotism was questioned, your sanity was even questioned, your credibility was continually undermined. That is to say, they tried to undermine your credibility, but you stood your ground. And little by little, and week by week, and month by month, you turned around public opinion in this country, which at least initially favored the general concept of so-called health care reform. And today, by every measure, it has been the case for the last several months. The vast overwhelming majority of people from every party, every political persuasion, every part of the country are overwhelmingly opposed to this bill. Yeah. You've been principled, you've been courageous, you've even been patient and courteous. Did Washington pay any attention to you? No. They ridiculed you, they mocked you, they questioned your motives, your patriotism, your sanity, but the American people listened. Thank God, and thank God for each one of you. You changed minds. But Washington, among the public, that is to say, you changed minds among the American people, but not quite enough yet in the Congress of the United States, because thus far a critical handful are still refusing to listen. They are determined to shove this Frankenstein monster, so-called reform, this misguided, misbegotten, dangerous madness, this dangerous madness down our throats, whether we like it or not, and we do not like it, and we will not abide it. Amen. Amen. This is a dangerous bill. It is perhaps the most dangerous bill in our country's history. It is certainly the most dangerous bill in my lifetime or in the last century. And it's not only a dangerous bill in its content, it's dangerous in the way in which they are trying to ram it through. Let me say a few things about content and then their thuggish methods by which they are trying to ram this thing through the Congress and down our throats. I don't care on how many stacks of Bibles the President or Pelosi or Reid or anyone else may claim that this bill will reduce the cost of medical care. It will not. Medicare has grown by gigantic proportions, way beyond the projections of the original sponsors. And so will this massive government takeover of the American medical system grow by gargantuan proportions until we very soon reach the point where there isn't enough to go around. They begin rationing it. You and I will begin to wait in lines. We'll be on waiting lists. We'll have third-rate care. And if you're over 65, as I am, you'll be told to go home and buy an aspirin, a bottle of aspirin, and stay out of this place because you don't have enough useful life left to be of any use to your country. That's where we're going with this Frankensteinian monster that they're trying to foist upon the American people. Doctors will not have the ability to practice as they think best. You will not have the ability to choose whichever doctor you want treating you. We will lose, in a word, freedom. In 2 words, we will lose the best medical care system in the entire world. Now let me just say finally this about the man. We are governed today by Chicago-style thugs and King George-style tyrants. Yeah. We are governed by Chicago-style thugs in the White House and in the Congress. And we are governed by a King George-style tyrant in the White House. Yeah. They are tyrants, ladies and gentlemen. This is tyranny. Let me conclude by asking you to savor these words from the Declaration of Independence. I alluded to the parallel between this audience and this assemblage, and the assemblage of like groups of people 250 years ago. It's the same principle. The stakes are exactly the same. And so we are well to go back to the Declaration of Independence, the very birth document of our republic, and to recall why we rose up against the reigning powers and threw them out, as we will with our votes in November. But this finally from the Declaration of Independence. Governments are instituted among men, drawing their just powers from the consent of the governed.
Amen.
We do not consent, Mr. President. We do not